G'day guys, it's Dan here again, and we're going to continue on with our tutorial sessions. Today we're going to keep working on the weapons attacks, and this might get renamed to ranged because these are all ranged weapon attacks. So what we've got here is our ranges. So we've got our ranges for 0 to 6 yards or meters, 7 to 12 yards or meters, right up to 401 to 800 yards or meters. Now we can see if there's a 0 value in these fields, that means that the weapon doesn't operate at that range. So at ranges greater than 200 yards or meters, the shotgun and the pistol don't work, and at ranges greater than 400 yards or meters, the SMG is also ineffective. You can see that each of these fields has a roll symbol on it. So what happens is when you want to attack with the shotgun, you determine the range, and excluding the chance where the defender gets to use their dodge. So we're just looking at comparing the attack roll to the difficulty value based on range for the moment. Later on, once we start working on the combat tracker, we'll also add in checks to see if the defender has a high enough dodge value, and then they can try and also dodge the attack. So for the meantime, what happens is the attacker has a attack skill with this weapon, which is based on their reflex and their skill with handgun. And over here, this is based on reflex and skill with shoulder arms. So these values here, 10 and 11, are based on those. If we increase the reflex to 8, you can see that these fields have increased by 2. If I increase the handgun to 6, we can see that just the shotgun and pistol range is increased. Now, shotgun is probably not a handgun skill. That's a separate issue. So anyway, we have these values here. I'm going to adjust them down because we want to see some fails in our rolls as well. All right, so what happens is we can add this number to an exploding D10, and we compare it against this number. Now, defender always wins on a draw. So if the roll is 13 or less, it's a fail. If it's greater than the difficulty value, then it's a success. And if you try and roll with a 0 field, it should report out of range. At this stage, it's going to still roll a die, but it's going to report that the attack is out of range. So let's go on and have a look at the coding for this. What we've got here is our weapon detail. So we've got all the different fields here for the weapons, and we're working on these range boxes. So if I click on the first one, we're going down and we're using the new dice roll parameters. So we've got here our attack string, or our dice roll string is 1d10 exploding plus the weapon skill score. And the weapon skill score in curly brackets means that collect the value from the field called weapon skill score. The weapon skill score is this field here, and we can see that over here, weapon skill score. So back to our fields. Weapon skill score. Now the result handler function name, we're going to use rollhandlers.rangedAttack. So rollhandlers.rangedAttack is using this script file called rollhandlers and a function in there called ranged attack. So we're going to dive right into that one very shortly. The next part is the roll description text. So we've got weapon name, which is in curly brackets, so it's going to pull it from this database. So it's going to grab the weapon name, so shotgun or pistol. Then it's going to pipe skill, and then the weapon skill score, which is the value that we're adding to the dice roll. And then another pipe, and then the descriptor ranged attack pipe, then a descriptor damage value, or DV, and then the actual, not damage value, difficulty value, which is pulled from the current field, which is self. So, and that's really handy when we've got self, because we're going to have to copy this script or these settings onto all of the other ranges for going along. So if we have a look at all of these, they'll all be set up exactly the same. And we've got a role type ranged. Targeting type is all. We're not using targeting just yet. Once we get the combat tracker going, we will. And use modifier stack true. So if there's any modifiers there, they'll also get picked up. So now let's look at the code in our role handlers.function ranged attack. So again, I'm just going to roll through all of these, just reading out what they do. So this accepts our source, our target, which at the moment is blank, but if you've got the combat tracker working, the targeting information will be delivered and the role information. Next, we're going to build a message from that information. So this is using Core RPG to create the message parameters. So that's like the token, the font, the message text, all that information, the dice roll result will all get pulled into that. We're then going to declare a local variable called nTotal, and we're just going to collect the modifier stack. So if you've, for whatever reason, we've got a modifier in there, maybe from a roll ability, we'll pick that up. Then we're going to iterate through the dice rolls. When I say iterate, we've got exploding dice. So if you roll a 10, there'll be a second dice roll. If you roll another 10, there'll be a third dice roll. Often, mostly, there'll only be a single dice rolled. So when it's iterating through, it'll only go through this one time. When the next line here, if R rolled a dice 1, so that means that the first dice that rolls, if it's equal to a 1, now this is because our inbuilt dice mechanics doesn't do the negative exploding values on 1s. So we're manually inputting this. We're then going to declare a variable n critical failure, and we're going to assign a random value between 1 and 10. We're then going to append some text to it, just declaring a critical failure. Now, the critical failure may still result in a hit. We're then going to update the roll result with the critical failure. So our V result here, we rolled a 1, and then we've got a random number between 1 and 10, so it'll be 1 minus 1, or 1 minus 2, 1 minus 3, right up to 1 minus 10. So we get a result there between 0 and minus 9. We're then going to add our final dice result to the nTotal that we declared a little earlier. Now the nTotal will either be 0 if there were no modifiers, or it'll have the modifier value in there. And then we're adding our dice result. We then want to go back and check if the first dice that was rolled was a 10. Now I can't do it up here, because if I do it in the for loop, that will be true every time it goes through the explosion, so you'll get at least 2 results, and this text will get appended twice. So what we're doing is, after it's all completed, we just go back and say if the first result was a 10, then we're going to append critical success to our message. Now when we're appending this text, we've got the existing text, rmessage.text equals existing text, and then the ... is appending. Then we're doing in bracket, in quote marks, a line break, and then the text critical success, and that's going to append that to our ongoing message. We're then going to collect RRolled bonuses, which is the skill / stat score, so the sum of your reflex and your weapon skill. We're going to add that to the running total. Next, we're going to do something a little bit tricky. We're going back and we're checking our description, role description, RRolled S description, and we're searching for the text capital D, capital V, and a space, and then we're grabbing the all numbers, consecutive numbers after that. So if the DV was, say, 9, it would only be one number. If the DV was more commonly like 15 or 13 or 25, it would collect those. And I don't think there's ever going to be a triple digit number in there. And it saves that as SDV target. We then convert that to a number. We're then going to check if that exists, and we're then going to check if dvTarget is equal to 0. Now again, this 2 equal signs is a comparison. It's not setting a value. If you do dvTarget equals 0, then dvTarget will become 0. But we're going if dvTarget is equivalent to 0. So if it's equivalent to 0, then we want to declare that the result is a failure, that the range, that we were out of weapon range. And then we're going to deliver the chat message. So the chat message will get delivered with our dice results, our modifiers, our roll description, any critical failures and successes, and then the final result here, fail out of range. Then we're going to check if the end total, so our dice result with all its bonuses and modifiers and skills and stats, if that is greater than the target number, then it's going to append a success message, and then it's going to send that to chat. And the final one is an else statement. We don't have to put what else it is because we've got 0 and then we've got a greater than, so everything else is going to be between 0 and the number. We're going to append a failure message, and we're going to deliver the chat message. So that pretty much wraps it up. So let's just do a couple of test rolls and see what result we get. Now you can see there's quite a bit of code here, but it's all commented out, and I will post it in the comment section again as well. So looking at our character sheet, we double click on short range attack. We got a 3 plus 13. Our result is a 13, which is equal to the difficulty value, which means it's a win to the defender, which means our attack was a fail. Fail, your shot misses. We'll try it again. We get another miss. We have a success. We have a success. We have a success. Keep rolling. Hopefully we get an exploding 1 or 10. Alright, so on the 10, we got an exploding 10, so re-rolled an additional 3, so we got 13 plus our score of 10, so we got a total of 23. So we got the critical success message was appended in there, and the final result, success, your shot hits. And we'll keep going until we get a 1 result. Okay, we got a 1. Now we don't throw the extra dice at the moment. At the moment we're just using a random number generator. So we've got critical failure 1, and there was an additional 1 rolled after that through the random generator, and we get a fail, your shot misses. And we'll find that that works across all of these. And the last case scenario is when something is out of range, throws the dice, but then it reports a fail out of range. I hope that's been useful to you. There's a fair bit of stuff in there. There's a few new concepts in there, like when we're doing the string pattern match, when we're incorporating a random number in there, when we're doing the for loops, and then we're doing an if statement inside there, and we're just checking for the result of a specific dice. So there's lots of little things in there that you will use multiple times if you really dive into this and start trying to build out a full rule set or rule set extension. All right, I'll see you guys again tomorrow for the next session.